Evelyn Harper, a successful architect in her early 40s, has always prided herself on her meticulous attention to detail and her clear sense of reality. She lives in a sleek, modern apartment in the city, surrounded by the structures she's designed, monuments to her control and order. However, her life takes a dark turn when she begins to notice subtle, disconcerting changes in her environment. What starts as small inconsistencies soon spirals into a terrifying descent as her perception of reality fractures, leading to horrific consequences. Evelyn's day begins like any other, but she notices something strange on her morning walk. The street sign that always reads Maple Avenue now says Elm Street. Confused, she shakes it off, assuming it's a trick of the mind. But as the day progresses, more anomalies appear. A door in her office building that should lead to the conference room opens into a supply closet, her favorite cafe is on the wrong corner, and the time on her watch jumps erratically. Each inconsistency is small yet unnerving, like tiny cracks in the solid foundation of her reality. The cracks grow wider as Evelyn's surroundings become increasingly distorted. Her apartment, once a sanctuary of order, now feels alien. The layout begins to shift, walls move, rooms expand or contract, and familiar objects disappear or reappear in strange places. She questions her memory and sanity, seeking reassurance from friends and colleagues, but they seem distant, their responses disjointed. It's as if they too are part of this shifting, unreliable world. Evelyn starts to suspect that something is deeply wrong, not just with her, but with reality itself. As the days pass, Evelyn's experiences become more disturbing. She starts seeing things that aren't there, shadowy figures in the corners of her vision, faces in mirrors that aren't her own, and people who don't exist. She hears whispers in the walls, voices that speak of things she doesn't understand, but instinctively fears. The boundary between what is real and what is imagined blurs further. At night, her dreams are filled with terrifying, fragmented images that linger long after she wakes. The world around her feels increasingly hostile, as if it's actively conspiring against her. Desperation drives Evelyn to seek help, but the world outside her apartment has become unrecognizable. Streets she once knew twist and turn into dead ends, buildings loom at impossible angles, and the sky is a sickly, unnatural color. People she encounters are distorted, their faces twisted into grotesque expressions of fear and malice. Even the ground beneath her feet seems unstable, shifting like quicksand. In a panic, she returns to her apartment, only to find it transformed into a maze of endless corridors and rooms that defy logic. There's no escape. Every door leads back to where she started, and the shadowy figures that haunt her are growing bolder. Evelyn's mind teeters on the edge as she realizes that reality has completely fractured. The world is no longer a coherent place. It's a nightmare landscape where the rules of physics and logic no longer apply. She's trapped in a twisted version of her life, where time loops back on itself and space is distorted beyond recognition. The shadowy figures are no longer just observers, they are pursuing her, their intent malevolent. They whisper to her in a language that chills her to the bone, telling her that she has crossed a line, and there is no going back. Every corner she turns, every room she enters, brings her closer to a horrifying truth. She is the architect of this fractured reality, and it is unraveling because of her. In the final chapter, Evelyn confronts the source of the fracture. Deep within the maze of her apartment, she finds a room that was never there before, a stark, empty space with a single mirror. In the reflection, she sees herself, but not as she is now. The reflection is of a younger Evelyn, at the peak of her career, before she made a fateful decision. The mirror shows her the moment when she rejected a project that would have changed her life, choosing instead the path of safety and control. That decision created a ripple in reality, a fracture that has been growing ever since. The shadowy figures are the manifestations of her regret, the parts of her mind that knew something was wrong but were suppressed. The mirror shatters, and with it, the last remnants of Evelyn's sanity. The world around her collapses into chaos, leaving her trapped in a perpetual state of fear and confusion. In the final moments, she realizes that she is no longer in control. Reality is, The last thing she sees before the darkness consumes her is the twisted smile of her own reflection, forever fractured. Evelyn's disappearance becomes a mystery in the city. Her apartment, now abandoned, is sealed off, rumored to be haunted. Those who dare to enter claim to see strange things, shifting walls, fleeting shadows, and a woman's voice whispering for help. But no one can stay long. The place feels wrong, like reality itself is unstable. And somewhere, deep within the labyrinth of the apartment, Evelyn's fractured reality continues, an eternal nightmare from which she can never escape.